Raz. Okay. Hello, everyone. Uh, Hello, Dubai. My name is Chris. I'm from L2BEAT. If you don't know what L2BEAT is and what we are doing, you will learn in a minute. I hope you are having a wonderful day in this sunny Dubai. And this is a great opportunity to talk about the end of the world. Let's talk about the end of the world. Who of you played the game or saw the series Fallout? Who played Fallout? Yes, we've got some Fallout fans on the audience. So I don't know if you already watched the series. In my opinion, the series are great. I watched it when I traveled here in the plane. But one thing didn't click for me in this whole lore. Why the hell did they don't have internet? And why the hell they don't have crypto? They have computers, right? They have radio. If they have computers and even network computers and they have radio, obviously they would have had internet. And if they had internet, I'm pretty sure that they would have had Ethereum. Because one thing that I'm pretty certain about the end of the world, that Ethereum will survive. Ethereum is there to stay. From all the crypto projects, I personally believe that this is the one that is most probable to survive any difficulties because it's so popular, it's so used, all over the world. Obviously, I have no idea about the prices, but the network, the technology is there to stay. But the Ethereum is not just Ethereum, right? 4 years ago, Vitalik already drafted the roadmap for Ethereum to be the roll-up centric ecosystem. So when we are speaking about Ethereum, you are not talking about Ethereum itself. We are talking about Ethereum and all its L2s that actually create this whole ecosystem. And the question is, if Ethereum survives, would those L2s survive? And that would be something that I would not be so certain about. And right now we can already see that there is this huge amount of value already locked in L2s. This is already, we are already living in the L2 world. There is a lot of value, but there is also a lot of activity. The activity on L2s already surpassed by far activity on the mainnet itself. So, will they survive? Will the L2s survive? And one thing that I know about startups, and one thing that everybody should know about startups, is that most startups fail. And crypto startups are no different. There is no reason to believe why crypto startups should be different than regular startups. So we should all expect that a lot of those roll-ups that we have right now, a lot of those L2s, a lot of those projects will simply fail and they will cease to exist a few years from now. Who of you remembers Solana? Sorry, not Solana, EOS, for example. Who remembers EOS? Yeah, there is one or two people in the audience. So basically, many projects that we know today will also cease to exist. And the question is, what is going to happen with the assets that we have in those L2s? And there are two ways, there are two ways of thinking about this. So we can think about the assets that we bridge or mint on L2 as casino chips. If you go to the casino, you hand them dollars, and then they hand you back chips. You go, you have some fun, you play some poker, play some blackjack, play some roulette, and hopefully, if you are lucky, by the end of the night, you have, a ton of chips, a huge mountain of chips. But let's say that you didn't exchange it for dollars, back for dollars, but you simply took it to your hotel room and then forgot about it, packed it into the suitcase and left. And you left for a year, and next year you're at the same casino, you want to go exchange those chips, but you see that the casino is no longer there. It doesn't exist. It bankrupted. So what are your chips worth right now? And the answer is probably nothing. And that's something that we would like to avoid in rollups. And there is another model, the banking model, something that we didn't like of banks, something that the reason why Bitcoin actually was created was that our governments are bailing out the banks. Like the one thing that we want to ensure in the financial system, that if you put your money into the bank, you will always be able to receive it, no matter if this particular bank will, continue existing or not. This is something that we guarantee as a society, as a, in advanced societies. So we would like our layer 2s to be the same. We would like our layer 2s to also be secured by Ethereum. There is this meme already that is, that layer 2s are secured by Ethereum. But really, are they? What security exactly does Ethereum provide? And the answer depends on what L2 are we speaking of how this particular L2 has been built. Because if your L2 looks more like this, then I would say that it's pretty okay. I will explain it soon. But if your L2 looks like this, I wouldn't keep my money there, basically. I would be rather cautious. It's okay to experiment. It's okay to play with such an L2. But I wouldn't trust my money to be sitting there. Why? That's exactly what we do at L2BEAT. We actually analyze those systems and check whether the funds that you are putting in them are actually secured by Ethereum. That is L2BEAT.com website. And what you can find on this website, this is our risk analysis. You can find all the L2s that we assessed, and it's basically we try to have all the Ethereum-based real L2s on our website. You can find different risk vectors analyzed there. And as you can see, there are a lot of reds here, which means that we are no longer there yet, not yet there. So first thing that we analyze is what happens if there is a proposal failure. What happens if this mechanism that puts your data to the L1, to the Ethereum mainnet, what happens if this thing stops working? And unfortunately, as you can see here, like usually you have problem. What would be perfect if you could, for example, self-propose? The other solution that exists, that is basically kind of lower on this website, is to be able to use escape hatch to somehow retrieve our funds. The other thing, but if there is an option, like for example in Arbitrum, we are able to self-propose. But in order to be able to self-propose something, the construction that we are using needs to allow for self-sequencing, right? We need to be able to improve the chain, to push forward the chain to be able to exit with our transaction if we want to do anything with that. And fortunately, most of those solutions already address this issue somehow. If they don't, I would be cautious because that would make it difficult for you to retrieve the funds. Then, in order to be able to propose something, in order to be able to advance the state of this L2, first you need to be able to reconstruct the state. You need to be able to retrieve the data that sits behind the state of this L2. And there is a question, where does this data sit? Where can you access it? And actually this recently became much more complicated than it used to be before, because of all those different data availability solutions and the change in how we approach data availability. But basically, if your data is not available on chain or in some convenient way, if it's externally accessed, then there is additional risk that you have to take into account, and there is additional thing that you have to monitor and check to be sure that your funds are safe. Another thing which already touches more the security of your funds while you're at this chain is how is the state validated? And is there any mechanism to ensure that the state is correct, that your funds haven't been stolen in the past? And as you can see, like many rollups do not support any solutions here yet. Especially if this is optimistic rollup and it doesn't support fraud proofs, you should be really cautious because you are actually trusting the sequencer that it does the right thing. Then, oh, I missed one slide. there should be, something that I wanted to say here is that if you have the fraud proof, there is this requirement that the fraud proof has to be actually running when you know, and somebody is watching and checking the state and checks that nobody tried to steal your funds. And you can think about, okay, if there is an apocalypse, then maybe those fraud, you know, those challenges are not running. However, apparently, those challenges are running usually. Our co-founder Chris tried to check in the roll-up that is no longer functioning. It was, already disbanded on the first fuel roll-up. You know, we figured out, hey, nobody cares about this roll-up. It has been abandoned. So maybe let's try to steal some funds at this roll-up. So we tried to steal some funds, and apparently we were checked. We were challenged. We lost the funds. Like, you know, one of the not so many cases when we are actually happy that we lost the funds. The last thing that that you should check about your roll-up, your mechanism, is the exit window. Like, this actually relates not to the fact, not to the question whether you can retrieve your funds after the apocalypse, but rather if something bad happens with your system, with your L2. For example, it's being upgraded in a way that you don't like. For example, some government enforces this system to censor you for any reason. Do you still have some time to actually exit it and retrieve your funds before it gets updated? And I don't have good news for you for now. I think that this will, you know, come with time, but at this point, most of those systems are upgradable, and if they are upgradable, actually, it's hard to make any assumptions about the security if they can be upgraded in time. So, all of this is obviously quite, you know, complicated, and you have to figure out all those different pieces. So, Vitalik 2 years ago proposed that maybe let's simplify it. Let's maybe simplify it for the way to provide people an easy way to assess whether this roll-up is actually secure and mature, and more importantly, to push those roll-ups forward so that they actually implement those things that are important for the security of our funds, instead of doing some, you know, fancy features that are good for marketing. And we did implement that. We did implement the stages. We currently have 3 stages that the roll-ups can be in. Most roll-ups are unfortunately at stage 0. And the reason why we have it is to push those roll-ups to actually improve, and it works. Actually, last week, Arbitrum, like, these are the announcements that we see. Roll-ups do care about this assessment. Roll-ups do want to improve with their security, and they do care about this assessment. This was Arbitrum announcing that soon enough they will introduce permissionless fraud proofs, and it was followed by the declaration from Optimism. They declared that they will join the stage 1 roll-ups pretty soon, and after that their goal will be to achieve the stage 2. And we are really looking forward to it, because we want to distinguish good roll-ups from not so good ones, even more than we do right now. And, you know, that's not it. There's one more thing. Actually, there's a lot of more things. We have value locked analysis for you. We not only show you how much value is locked in those different L2s, but actually what is the composition of this TVL, because this is super important. If you've got a token on a certain L2, it makes a huge difference whether this token has been natively minted on this L2, or was it canonically bridged using the canonical mechanisms in the rollup to L2, or was it externally bridged through some different external bridge to L2? These are 3 different animals, those tokens. And we not only provide you the breakdown of the TVL per category, but we also show you where is this number that we are looking at coming from. We provide you data on activity. This is actually a bit more complicated. We are going to investigate it even further, because this shows only TPS right now. but with multi-calls, with account abstraction, activity is a bit more complicated topic than just counting transactions. We recently introduced DA assessment. So we are providing you with information on the security risks and composition of those different DA solutions. We provide you information on liveness. We provide you information on finality. Why? Because this tells you whether your system will allow you to function, basically, will not try to censor you. And if it tries, we'll expose it. Last but not least, this is an addition that we introduced literally last week, or even this week. It's a cost breakdown. We analyze already how much are those L2s paying for the security of Ethereum to the Ethereum, and we provide you with this breakdown. And the question is, why do we do it? What is the reason? What do we do it for? Like just to call out those protocols? Actually, no. The reason why we are doing it is that we believe that this is not how you protect user funds. Stupid lawsuits and trying to put developers into jail for writing code is not the way to protect our funds. This is not the way to go. The way to go is actually to provide us with the information to keep projects accountable, to verify their claims, and to check whether they are actually providing you with the security that they promise you when they advertise the offerings. That's why when we are analyzing those systems, we don't just check the documentation, we don't just look into what they claim, we check into the code. And everywhere where it is possible, we try to back our statements with the links to the code where this particular thing is implemented, that you can check yourselves whether we are not wrong or whether we are not mistaken. So this is our motto: trust the code and not the claim. And with that in mind, we are doing this to be able to tell you, Anon, that yes, your funds are secure. However, in order for you to be certain, you have to go to our webpage and check actually if the system that you are using actually implemented all the mechanisms that it was supposed to implement in order to be secured by Ethereum. And that's what we do for you. That's something like we are public goods company. We do it, as a public offering. So we are asking also you for support. You can either donate to us, and you will, below this on our website, you will see the sources of our funding. We try to be fully transparent. But if you don't want to do this, we are asking for one thing. Just go to our Twitter, interact with us, follow us, like our posts, comment on our posts, provide us feedback, and spread the word. Tell your friends that they should be actually checking this data because it is important. And last but not least, if you think that what we are doing is okay and that we are doing a good job in the Ethereum ecosystem, you can also delegate to us, because we are present in the governance of those different L2s, and we try to push them also through governance to actually, deliver on the promises that they made to you regarding the security mechanism that they were supposed to implement. And that's it for me. Thank you very much. Do we have time for some questions? I think that we should have. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
So it seems like you guys are tracking all of the main layer 2s, right, and different types. Can you speak to the different types that you guys have observed throughout the various L2s that you guys are tracking? Obviously, we know of the main optimistic rollups, ZK rollups. Are there any others to speak about? And then are you guys even gauging the differences between those different types of rollups in the sense of the security, trustworthiness, right, of ZK, of zero knowledge technology in general, right? It's kind of termed as moon math.
Yeah, so we are digging deep into that, and it's a very good question because there are a lot of different animals in this field. You mentioned optimistic and ZK rollups, But that's not enough, there are different constructions, like validiums, where the data is sitting somewhere else. Like optimiums, which is optimistic rollups with the data somewhere else. There are differences between those two as well. And actually, right now, this space is getting more and more complicated. Something that I had in Denver, which I liked very much, is like somebody was shilling orbit chain, Arbitrum orbit chain that settles on that settles on base using Celestia as a DA and Espresso as shared sequencing. And with such constructions, how do you actually assess the security of the system? This is something that we are struggling with. We already, it is already a challenge with L3s. How do you actually assess the security of L3s? We are actually working right now on providing more information and more, better assessment of those L3s. And for each of those constructions that I mentioned, you can actually see on our website. Let me find some screenshot. So if you can see here, yes, we do compare those different solutions. And in the values of this assessment, you will see the details of the implementation for this mechanism in the particular system. So for example, for validiums in the data availability, you will probably see that it's that's DAC, data availability committee, usually. You will see for systems that are using Celestia or like EigenDA, like Mantle, you will see that the data availability is external. For the systems that provide you with escape hatch, you will see on the sequencer failure column that they do provide escape hatch. And for example, for DYDX, we actually implemented the interface to do the, to escape your funds. If you go to dydx.l2beat.com, and it's especially important because dydx actually resigned from their Ethereum-based system. They moved to Cosmos. So, but if you have funds locked in your contracts on Ethereum, you will be able to retrieve your funds using escape hatch from our interface. So you can go there and check it there. So I don't know if this answers your question fully, but yes, we try to analyze as deep as possible those systems and to provide the overview to let you, you assess the risks yourself. So you make a conscious, informed decision when using this system or another. Any questions? Any follow-up question?
I think all good. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.